What's going on, YouTube? To the OG subscribers, thank you very much for the support. We just hit 5,000. For everybody joining us right now who's not already subscribed to the channel, you probably don't know, but this is our build. We've got the Project Slow Integra, La Fea. She's currently down again for upgrades and repairs. We had a little issue with the oil pump, but everything's getting squared away. So we are building this motor once again with some stronger parts, better parts. If you don't already know about it, like I said earlier, if you're not a subscriber, we have a CSS LS block brought over to 81.5, so just slightly bigger than stock. We're running a GSR head with Pro 1 Skunk 2 cams. Right now, we just switched over from an Eagle rod to a Crowder rod. We've got Wiseco 10-to-1 pistons with, in combination of the GSR LS VTEC, it should bring us up to about 10.3, 10.4. Plus the block has been shaved and the head has been shaved. So we're peaking right in the high 10s, almost 11. We're going to be running, just like on our old setup, King racing bearings, thrust, rod, and mains. And then we've got the original Wiseco piston rings that come as a set when you buy new pistons. We've got the same wrist pins that come with them as well, with the original C-clips. Using Permatex Ultra Slick for assembly lube on this thing. We're going to start off by honing out the block because on the previous setup we had a little oil pump failure, so it ran a bit hot and gave us a little bit of scoring on the piston walls, or on the cylinder walls. So we just want to freshen this up, get it nice and clean for the new setup, and hopefully we get some good insight for you guys, show you how we like to build our motors. We're not a professional shop or anything, but we do the best that we can and try to get specifications and everything and make sure that you guys can do the same as we do. We're shooting for 750 to 800 horsepower with this setup right now. The limiting factor is going to be fuel. Right now we've got a single in-tank Walbro 450 E85 high flow with a 14-volt conversion off of a standalone relay. My boys over there on Instagram looking at stuff instead of contributing to the video.
No, sorry, I got lost in all the car technical talk.
So like I was saying, we have...
impressive.
Thank you. We've got the single 450 in this. That's what we have for now. It should max out in mid 700s. So we don't think that we're going to get anything else out of it. But I'll probably end up doing, further down the line, 2 in-tanks, 450s. Or I might just end up doing a sump tank and then run something in line. Currently, I have all the way from the tank to the front a Dash 6 feed line, which is those fittings back there, as you can see, and then go straight to the AEM fuel rail, right over here to a Dash 6 entrance and stock fuel pressure regulator return. But that pretty much sums up the overview of the build. I think we're gonna just dive right into it right now. Before we do that, let me show you the turbo we got. We got a genuine Garrett GT35 off of a BWR manifold with a 38mm wastegate, which is a V-band, which we're actually trying to get rid of and upgrade to a 44 so we can have better boost regulation at that high horsepower. Running Duralast Gold axles, which snapped a minute and a half off of the dyno, so we should be upgrading that soon. Stock GSR transmission with a Phantom grip, which is probably going to blow very soon, and a competition twin disc clutch. Okay, so first things first, like I just mentioned, we are going to be honing out the cylinder. We've got this little line hone hooked up to our cordless drill. It's kind of on its way out. The springs are a little bit weak on it, but it makes do. You're going to want to first spray down the cylinder that you're going to be working on with WD-40 and do the same to the stones on the honer. And you want to make sure it's nice and lubed so you don't have any problem when you're cutting through. Now you want to make sure that you don't take too much material off, because not only do you need to gap your piston rings for each specific motor, you also need to have a piston to wall clearance. And even though you're not really taking much material off with the honing of it, you still take off thousandths of an inch. So what I like to do, like I said, this one's already on its way out. Just stick this in here, go in order 1 to 4. You want to make sure that your speed and the speed of the hone and the speed of your in and out with the drill is consistent enough to give a cross hatch so the rings can seat properly. So if you notice right here, come a little closer and look at the speed of which I'm going to turn it. Each person likes to do it differently. I'm not saying mine is the correct way, but I've had success with this specific speed and this specific motion. What's up?
The smell. I missed that smell.
Engine building smell?
Yeah.
WD-40. Another thing to keep in mind, you don't want to stop honing it and pull it straight out, because then you'll get micro scratches going upwards, which won't be consistent with your crosshatch. So when you're done, you just want to pull it out while you're still turning a little bit. That way it doesn't do those scratches straight upward. Just gonna spray this down and show you the crosshatch real quick. It's very basic. A lot of people are scared to do this, but as long as you do a little bit at a time, you really don't have much to worry about. Watch your face. Because just keep an eye on it, basically. There is such thing as too much though. That's why I'm saying do little at a time. Spray it out with some brake clean. That way you know that there's no foreign material right there. So when you're looking at it, you know you're looking at your fresh crosshatch and not residue. Pass me the camera, please. We see I have a light crosshatch going in, and you can see the scoring starting to disappear. And we're gonna do this for a little bit more just so I can get it nice and cleaned up. Then we'll move on to the other cylinders and ensure that they are consistent with the first. All right, so now that we've got the stock sleeves completely honed to how we want them, flip the motor around. We're gonna go all across right here and hit it with some brake cleaner, just because we wanna make sure all the surface is nice and clean. But more important than that, come over here. Very important thing that you wanna do, especially when you've had an engine problem before and you're just fixing it, is all of these oil passages, you want to either hit them with compressed air and brake parts cleaner, or some type of cleaning solution. And you want to make sure that there's no debris whatsoever within these oil passages. What I like to do, right here, hit it. Same thing for this one. If you come over on this side, when I do that, you can actually see where the brake clean is coming out from. This passage, and then a little bit from the oil, where the filter goes. Put the camera up here and cover the bottom passage. And you can see it sprays from there. And every once in a while, you'll get little metal pieces or something like that from where the oil filter actually is in contact with the rest of the oil passages. Then we're gonna come over to this side, spray the filter area, or in here. Then there's little holes that you can go on the side, and it comes out the front of the block. Same goes for right here. You want to make sure 100% of the oil passages are clean and clear. Make sure that it's 100% clean for the fresh engine oil and fresh motor build, whatever you're doing. You want to make sure that everything is clean, because cleanliness is important in an engine. And although it might not be the prettiest on the outside, we want to make sure that it's nice and functional on the inside, and that everything is how it should. Now that we've got all the oil passages as clean as possible, we are respraying the cylinders themselves, making sure that it's 100% clean and that there's not any material that we basically cut off with the hone left in there. Even though we sprayed the crap out of it, there's still a lot of residue, you could say. And we're gonna make sure that it's clean 100%. We don't want any contaminants in this motor. After that, we're gonna go over the oil passages again with a little bit of WD-40, just so everything on the inside of the motor is coated with some type of oil. That way there is no corrosion that can occur. Even though we are assembling this motor to go back in the car and run in the next week or two, there shouldn't be a chance for the corrosion to start. It's always a good practice to keep, especially if you're building a motor for future cars. Okay, so now we have finished unboxing our piston ring set from Weisico themselves. These are 81.5mm pistons, just as our pistons that we're using for the motor. Comes with a spec sheet. I'll see if I can take some pictures of it, put it in the video as well. This basically goes over the installation process, as well as how to gap your piston rings and how you should present your gap for each one, depending on your application. Now these are the two top rings. This one is the top, this is the second. What you're gonna wanna do is install first with the lettering upwards, can see on that. See the lettering? And then on the second one, you've also got letterings. You're gonna install that upwards as well. Weisigo specifies that if their rings come without lettering and without a bevel, then they can go either way. But for the one specifically with that, you wanna make sure that it is installed upwards. We're gonna gap the rings first, just like you should on almost any motor. Squeeze it together like this. Once they are together, push the piston ring down. You're gonna get your corresponding piston, push it down evenly. And this ring, I like to do about halfway into the bore. There you can see that it's nice and placed. I'm actually gonna do it a little bit lower than that. See, the skirt is just below the top. Now it's nice and evenly pressed on the bottom. And what I like to do is go ahead and place the top ones as well, just for demonstration purposes right now. Again, like I said, with the lettering upwards. That same piston, push it down. I like to do this one to about right here where the wrist pin goes in, so you have that uniformity, I guess, across all the cylinders. And you just have it right up there. So you have your top ring and your second ring. You don't worry about the oil control rings, the ones that we left over here. We're not gonna worry about these. These don't get gapped. You just leave those off to the side. Let's come back over here. Ring end gap is the space between this piston ring, the space between this piston right here, the piston ring right here, in correspondence with how much the cylinder is honed, bored, or how big it is. I have over here, what's this called again, bro? It's
feeler gauge.
Feeler gauge. I got a feeler gauge set. Off the top of my head, I think it was 18 and 20 is what we put them to. So we're just gonna look right here to see how tight they are. From the looks of it, I'm gonna say maybe like 13.
Show them the feeler gauge.
Yeah, this is a 13 thousandths feeler gauge. Right there, 13 thousandths. And you want it to go in tight, which this did right off the bat, 13 thousandths. And then usually I go one size big, one size small, just to make sure that I've got the perfect one. The bigger shouldn't fit in there at all. The smaller one should go in easily. So this is 13 thousandths. We're gonna get this up to about, I think it was 18, which is what we were setting the motor for. So let's pull this one out just to look at the bottom to see how it is right now. Try again with this 13. 13 goes in very smoothly. Let's try, just from the get-go, let's try 20. And 20 actually goes in a little bit tight. I'm gonna pull this up a little bit again and push it down with the piston one more time just to make sure it's 100% straight. Check again, 20 thousandths. And it goes in a little bit snug. If I had to say, I'd say it's about 21 thousandths, to be honest. Try with 21. And 21 goes in very tight. So that's right at 21 thousandths. We wanted to do the bottom rings at 20 thousandths. This is 21. It's a little bit looser than we wanted, but it'll be fine. It's just 1 thousandths. We're going to be cutting the top ring. I'm just gonna set that in again. And I'm actually gonna be placing all the bottom rings on right now, just to have them all in place, and then I'll show you how to cut them. Next thing we're gonna do is, I'm gonna show you how I file my piston rings. I'm actually ordering the correct filer, like the new method to do it with the little wheel and everything. This is pretty much the old school method, a file and a vise. This is one of my old piston rings that I'm just gonna be using for demonstrational purposes, showing you the different ways to cut it. So I've got right here that old ring that I was mentioning. We want to, when cutting, only cut with the piston ring going inwards. So the file going into the ring. The reason you're doing it like this is because you don't want it to have any burrs towards the outside. And if you get any burrs on the inside, you can clean it up easily. But if you have burrs on the outside, that can cause the cylinder walls to be scraped later on, and you don't want that to happen. So you don't need much of this. We're going from about 13 thousandths on the first ring to about 18 thousandths. And like I said, this is just an old ring that I had lying around to show you the process. I like to squeeze them together so they're nice and square and even on each side. Just light pressure, a couple passes, and then recheck. Because you can always go more, but you can't take away. You can't add material back. Before we continue measuring and cutting the rest of the rings, I want to show you a little trick. It's not really another method of cutting, but it's a little trick that I've learned from other people and it's worked in the past. You get a nice little Dremel, hook it up on a vise, put it on the low speed, and you basically cut the ring just like that. So what this does right here, when it's turning, it's mimicking an actual piston ring cutter and can cut the ring to size. Something that you have to take into consideration with this is the angle of the cut, and make sure that you're doing very little at a time, because that Dremel likes to eat the ring pretty fast. So let me just show you exactly how I've done it in the past and how you can do it yourself. So the piston ring cutters that they sell online, the replacement blades for them I found out are about 120 grit to 160 depending on the brand. This right here is a 120 wheel that you can get through Dremel or a couple different companies that sell accessories for them. So you want to turn this on, and on this specific wheel it only has the grit on one side. The other side is just the label. So you're going to do this and then flip it around, or they sell the wheel with the grit on both sides. So it depends what you buy. But I'm going to just turn this on and basically touch the ring, and that's going to be cutting the ring. You want to do very little at a time and make sure that the ends are exactly how the manufacturer specifies. Some want them to be exactly, well, for the most part, they want them to be exactly straight with each other, to not have any type of angle where the rings would meet, or where the ring ends would meet. So that's something to have into consideration. This is just another test ring that we had extra that we were testing out, just to show you how we cut with. But something to keep in mind is, if you go back to the Weisico sheet or whatever company your piston rings are made from, most likely they have something similar. It talks about the filing and the gap of the filing. Shows you right here, good and bad. So you want to have them straight, parallel to each other, the end gaps, not at an angle like this. So you want straight parallel, not a V angle. So that's something very important to keep in mind, especially when you're using this type of method. If you don't have a piston ring filer, this is always a good thing to have as a similar way of doing it. If not, you can do the hand file method. And there's always a few different tricks and ways that you can do it at home without the fancy tools. If you're doing it like this, you're going to want to make sure that there is no burrs sticking out on the ring gaps. Just like we were talking about earlier, if there's going to be, we want it to be coming inside towards the piston, not towards the cylinder walls. So you want to have the cut come into the ring. That way we can clean up the inside and then the angles as well. So like I said, this is just a junk ring. We're going to get our real rings and use this method to get the rest of them. We just got cylinder 1 to exactly where we want it. We got 18 thousandths up top. It's got to go in snug to the ring gap. Nice and snug. It holds itself on there from how nice and snug it is. But that's cylinder 1. We've got the bottom already pre-gapped like we had talked about. And the top is to 18. So that's already nice and cut just to the square, just like it said in the sheet. So the end gap doesn't have any abnormal seating features or nothing. But that's in there, ready to go. Now we're going to move to cylinder 2, 3, and 4, do the exact same process.